It's so pumped up right now. It's so animated. I thought I had a list of like kind of lower, vibes music going on, but apparently this playlist has some pretty amped up stuff. So, hey, we're here. Ready to go. I'm gonna close my door. I'll be right back. Alrighty. As much as I don't mind if the dog walks in, the dog is a Weimaraner mixed with Great Dane, which normally wouldn't be a problem. She's about the size of a small pony, but she has a cone on right now, so she literally knocks into everything because why not, right? I think my alerts are working. Thank you for testing that out for me. And thanks for following Marley Keko 2, the second. Thank you so much for following. Today's stream is going to be awesome, as always, right? But I'm super excited about this story, actually. It is a genre which I don't have a lot of experience in. I'm going to turn the music down just a smidge, so it's not just blasting me. I have to look at that thing. Anyways, but it's not a genre I have a lot of experience in. It's the romance genre, if you will. Not spicy at all. We're just going to be reading the first chapter of this. I actually don't even think it gets into, well, I know it doesn't. It doesn't get into the romance part of the book at all. But this one's a good one. It's interesting to me kind of personally. In a previous life, I was a musician. I played guitar and bass for some bands here locally in the Sacramento area. And this story kind of has a little bit of that element in there. It's about a 1970s rock band. And the kind of the formation and the story of that, along with, the introduction of the love story as well. So I find it extra fascinating kind of personally to me because it has that element of starting a band and playing music, and it makes me reminisce, if you will. I built myself a little button so that I don't have to do this individually anymore. Hopefully it works. There we go, in the channel. Outlisted there. A little bit of information about the author. They like to remain anonymous for the most part, as low-key as they can while still being an author and promoting their stuff, right? Totally understand how that goes. And they're out of Canada, our sister country to the north of here, as I am in California. A little bit about the author there, a little bit about the book, what I basically just described, and featuring, if you're looking up that direction, some art from a fellow Twitch streamer. Very, very talented. I am super impressed with their art. And if you're looking for commissioned artwork, check out their link that's listed there in the channel below. I know that they would appreciate it, and they're super talented. You won't be disappointed. You can tell. I mean, look at that. They were working today on like a hand kind of image. And it fascinates me because I don't have the capability to draw, and especially hands. Those are really hard, right? I mean, you look at those every day, like faces and hands. You see them, so your brain knows that something's not right if they're not right. Immaculate. They are very, very talented. But anyways, along with the rest of it, I built in a new command, and I'm tickling myself with these because I'm learning how to set up some of this stuff on the live stream and do the functions and stuff. And so you're gonna have to bear with me for a little bit on some of these. But I figured out much of it, and hopefully this works. It doesn't just like crash and burn right now. But sometimes people ask, what are you drinking? Or at least I have the duty to inform you on Whiskey Wednesday, what whiskey am I drinking? And I built a command for that because today, ladies and gentlemen, and others, we are drinking some Whiskey Cock. It's, I think, very pertinent to the turkey part of the year here in the Americas. I know if you're in Canada, you had it last month, so, belated to you. But here in the United of the States, we'll be having that turkey in celebration of Thanksgiving towards the end of this month. The last Thursday of the month, I think, is how that works. And what better way than chicken cock? A Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. 90 proof. It's going to be a burner. As a bourbon, one would argue, should be. So I haven't even opened it yet. I've been saving it for a special occasion. And this is a special occasion, right? Right. All right, get that open. Oh, that's good. Hopefully that came across. Surprisingly, pretty sweet smelling. Huh. I mean, according to their website, which is where I pulled the information from, just a few minutes ago, as I thought up to do this, it says that it's an elegant mahogany hue. I would agree. A nose with a nice balance of oak tones with sweet notes of dried fruit, caramel and vanilla. It definitely smells sweet, so we shall see. Need to get like a pour can. There we go. Oh my gosh. Wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. We're having a lot this evening. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a good read. Maybe not so much towards the end, but whatever. Cheers to those of you following along at home. And, hey, if you're driving, don't be doing this, right? Having another glass of Glenmorangie 12 year with sherry cask finish. Enjoy the bourbon. Ooh, who's doing me dirty? I love Glenmorangie 12 year, especially the sherry cask thing. Interesting note about, we'll save that for another stream. This isn't the whiskey stream, right? But I could go on about it. Who's knows? Talk about scotch for days. Here we go. All right. Not as aggressive of a burn as I would like from a bourbon, but very sweet. A lot of those vanilla and caramel flavors up in your face. There's the burn. I just needed a bigger sip. Don't take baby sips. Take big sip. Big boy sips, right? Big girl sips. That's good. I like it. I actually like it. It's not bad. All right. So, I don't know if you caught it, but I made this specifically for tonight's stream. What am I drinking? There we go. A little bit of chicken cock. I thought it was good. I don't know. Dad joke humor, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, we should move into maybe the booth and get this thing started. Really, one of the only reading streams on Twitch that'll make you ask the question, what the dog doing? I figured that out today. I'm so happy with myself. Anyways, let's actually step into the booth. Thank you all for joining me. Let's get over there and let's read some stuff, shall we? I don't think this is actually working on YouTube. I don't know why it's not connecting, but I'll have the replay afterwards up on YouTube if it's actually not. It doesn't look like it's streaming at all, and I don't know why. It does not make sense. But anyways, I'll probably have the cleaned up version later posted on YouTube so you can see just the narration bit of the story if you'd like. So without further delay, let's step over there. Let's go. Let's go! Can't forget my drink. Hold on. I'm coming. Boom, 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 boom. Probably going to pause the music, though. Hold on. There we go. Did I do it? I think so. All right. Stepping into the booth. All right, let me see if this actually, on this screen, if YouTube loaded up. No. It most certainly did not. Well. No use crying about spilled milk. I don't even think that saying is applicable. What is poking me in the neck? One of these days I'm going to do that in this whole booth. And it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Thanks for joining me. We're up and running here. And yeah, all right. It looks like you guys can see that. I had to reset everything up shortly before the stream in terms of the volume and everything. So let me know if you can't hear me or if it's a little too low, needs to go up. I can kind of adjust that at least a little bit on the fly here. So let me know. Let me know. Alrighty. Reset the flub counter to 0. Make sure we got that working. And there we go. Perfect. And just a quick reminder. Sounds good. Thanks, Suze. Appreciate it. Just a quick reminder. You can keep me accountable on the stream by typing in exclamation point flub every time I make one of those magical flubby flubs. Because it's going to happen a lot. I can feel it in my bones. I highly encourage it. I bet you do, Who's. You know, how do I spin this in a positive? You're very good at keeping me accountable. And I appreciate you, buddy. Here we go. Record all-time low last time, though, I'll have you know. So, although I think you gave me a couple freebies in there. So, you know, I'll take it. I'll take it. This is good bourbon. I'm having a hard time putting it down. Okay, let's get into it. I'm sorry. Here we go. Let's talk about Mr. Luke Clarkston. Let's get this thing. Hey, how you doing? You missed it. Let me go back. I'm not actually over there, but I gotta show you. Go back. Did it work? I don't know if it worked. That's the only bad thing. Can't tell if it worked until way afterwards. I don't think it worked. There we go. I heard the sound. You'll see up in the top left-hand corner some artwork up there. And the chair is holding down the streaming responsibilities right now. Rather well, might I add. Look at that chair. Huh. Probably doing it better than I do, to be honest. People are going to start riots over bring the chair back because, you know. Thanks for featuring. Absolutely. Thanks for being amazingly talented. And, okay. Let me see if I can do this on my phone. It's very hard to do this, and I have to teach other people that are mods how to do this, but there we go. And then you type the thing. Oh, it doesn't do it on my phone. There we go. Got it. Boom. The shout out for Nero Spicy there. Super talented artist, fellow Twitch streamer. And like I was saying earlier, they were drawing a hand today, kind of reaching out. So talented. I wish I had like half that talent. I really do. But let's go back into the booth. Boom. I definitely agree, Mama there. Very, very talented. Very talented. Oh, I also on the channel, if you're interested in those emote things, I just put some up, some custom emotes on there, and I have some the animated ones too. I commissioned a different artist that I'll probably feature later that did those for me as well. So look forward to that maybe on the stream. But without further ado, let's get into our romance rockstar MM romance story. And let's start it up. See what I did there? Okay, I liked it. That's all that matters, right? There you go. Checking out all the emotes. I know those are cool, right? Shut up and read. I love that one. Where is that one from? I love that. I have to get that one. Whoever has that one, I need to subscribe to get that one. That is a Neff. Oh, then I have it. Oh, I didn't know. See, that's what I get for not looking through it. I love Neff. He's streaming right now, or they're streaming right now. So I will probably be sending all of us over there later because amazing streamer, very interesting and very, I don't know. I love the conversations that go on in Neff's channel. It's just a great, anyways, I'll stop gloat. Let's start. Like I said I was going to. Let's go. Part 1, Chapter 1. Luke Clarkston signed his first record contract in 1972 when he was 22 years old. He'd been writing songs since he was 12, joined his first band at 15, played gigs since high school. Making a record was exactly what he wanted next. First stop after leaving the record company's office was to find a payphone and call his best friend Eddie to share the news. Eddie had his own band and played guitar better than Luke. They were always each other's first sounding boards. "Wow," Eddie said, impressed. "Where are you? Let's celebrate, man." They met up at their usual spot near Gray's Ferry, bought some beer and headed toward the river. In those days, neither of them had enough money to drink in bars. "I can't believe it. I did it. I can't believe I did it," Luke kept repeating. "I mean, I just walked in, there with a guitar, and played my songs, and they bought it." Eddie wanted to know all about the contract terms and conditions, but Luke could barely remember all the details. "I don't know, man. Jerry took care of all that. He said it was good and I should sign, so I signed." Jerry was his manager, a middle-aged man who also ran the local skateboard store, which was how Luke met him. "Well, what about the money? What kind of advance you get?" Eddie, tall and lithe and always a sharp dresser, fastidiously avoided the mud as they followed dirt paths towards the rail yard on the river's edge. "Nothing yet, but they say I'll get enough to make the first album. Shit, I can't believe I get to make a record. They're booking me into the studio in North Philly in like 2 weeks." "Are you doing the singer-songwriter thing or with a band?" "A band, man. I'm making a rock and roll record. "Who you gonna bring with you?" "Jerry wants to approve everyone, but you're coming for sure." Luke had grown up with piano lessons and was teaching himself guitar, but he wasn't confident in his playing. He wasn't even really confident in his singing. The only thing he was completely sure of was his songwriting. "What, you want me to play on your record?" Eddie smirked, pretending surprise. "Well, obviously, and the usual guys, I guess, Pete and Leo. Petey's a bit loco, but he does a solid bass, and he knows all my songs by now." A chain-link fence surrounded the rail yard. They reached the section where a hole had been made through the links, and Luke, who was smaller and scrawnier and never thought about his clothes, slipped through it, then paused and waited for Eddie. "And Gord Cortez," Luke went on, watching as Eddie carefully pushed back all the broken wires and gingerly stepped through. "Hope he's free. You know, I write those piano parts, but I can't play them. He's cool. Classical training, I think. He's got this jazzy edge. He really knows what I like." "You think that advance will be enough to pay everyone?" "Better be. That's all I got." Another short path through a few bushes led them to their favorite spot at the edge of a murky gray river, and Luke threw himself down under a tree on the bank. Eddie perched on a stone beside him, handed out the beer, and started rolling a joint. "You want to check out Harlow's later?" Eddie asked. "I heard they got a new house band." "I don't know. I told Cheryl I'd hang out with her tonight," Luke said, still thinking about the upcoming recording session. "I wish I could find some kind of horn player. A sax, a trumpet or something." He leaned back on his elbows and stared upwards, trying to catch a glimpse of the city behind them, just for a few tracks. "I can ask around. Pretty sure some of those R&B cover bands have horn sections." "I don't just want anyone, though," Luke said. "I gotta have the best for this." "Sure." Eddie handed the joint to Luke and smiled down suddenly. "Remember when we used to sleep out here? When we didn't want to go home?" "Like I could forget," Luke chuckled. "It's way better than having
It's way better having my own pad now. At least there's a bed. It wasn't very comfortable, Eddie agreed. But kind of fun anyway. He leaned over to throw an arm around Luke and kiss his cheek. Congratulations, man. This is pretty cool. Luke grinned up at him and clinked his beer bottle against Eddie's. Thanks. Your turn next. As they sat in silence looking out over the water, Luke took stock mentally. He had a guitar, a bunch of songs, a record contract, a girlfriend, a place of his own. All he needed now was that horn player, and his life would be complete. All right, I noticed a couple of flubs in there, so I'm going to give myself, let's give myself a good solid 4. What do you think? I think that'll cover it there. Catch up on chat for a little bit, too. Scroll down on my phone. Nerve. Such a good voice for reading. Oh, thank you, Neural. I appreciate it. All right. Let's get back into it here as we are into the second part of Chapter 1. All right. There's the bourbon burn as I inhale. That lets me on fire. Just note, don't drink bourbon while you try to narrate something. It's a bad idea. Or is it? The first album came out at the end of 1972. Luke learned a lot about the production and engineering. And everything took much longer than he planned, but he ended up with a record he wanted. Unfortunately, no one else seemed to want it much. Jerry insisted that the record company release one of the tracks as a single, but it got no airplay and disappeared into oblivion. Luke didn't let that get him down. He put together a small band, just Leo, Pete, and Gordon. Eddie was busy with his own projects, and launched a haphazard East Coast tour. Jerry helped him book some gigs, and they got a bit more money out of the company, which Luke used to buy a second-hand car that just barely fit the band and their equipment. His friend Art, an older man who helped him get into clubs when he was underage and acted as a bit of a mentor, came along to wrangle equipment and help out, while Jerry stayed back to run the store. The tour expanded slightly toward the Midwest, with shows at bars in Buffalo, Cleveland, and a few smaller towns in between. But by the spring of 1973, Luke was back in Philadelphia and feeling a bit lost. His contract with the record company was for 3 albums, but he wasn't sure he wanted to start work on the next one just yet. By this time, Cheryl had long since tired of waiting for him, and Eddie had taken a gig out in Chicago. Even Luke's own apartment was gone, given up during the tour, and he was crashing in the back room behind the skateboard store, which Jerry loaned him in exchange for occasional help up front. Summer rolled around, and nothing much had changed. Luke was trying to fix some teenager's longboard and mentally running through the local bars he might be able to hit up for a gig when his friends Ray and Jose came into the store. My man, Ray greeted him enthusiastically. We heard you was back in town. What's new with you? Luke stopped working to hug and slap hands and catch them up on his current situation. Ray and Jose were part of the old crowd he and Eddie had hung with since high school. Let me start that again. La-da-da. And I noticed another one in there too, so at least keeping track. We're up to 6. Ray and Jose were part of the old crowd he and Eddie had hung with since high school, both of them now working in theater lighting or costumes or set design, something like that. Luke wasn't quite sure. Well, if you're free tonight, you should come by the Artemis, Jose said. We'll be there, and man, this place is jiving these days. And the place is jiving these days. They're a cover? 'Cause I ain't... Jose waved dismissively, cutting him off. You're on the list. Come on. We might even have a surprise for you there." He and Ray exchanged looks that slightly intrigued Luke. "Well, if I can make it, I will," Luke promised. That evening, he put on a clean pair of jeans and a close-fitting white tank, borrowed $5 from Jerry, and took the SEPTA over to Sansom Street. He knew he was early. The club wouldn't really fill up till closer to midnight, so he dropped into a few bars, trying to negotiate paid sets for the following weeks. Even without airplay, a released record gave him enough cachet that he was able to book a few shows, which lifted his spirits a bit. When he'd finished making his way through most of the strip, Luke headed over to the Artemis, the hip local disco, and found Jose had kept his word about getting him on the guest list. Inside, the lights pulsed, the speakers blasted funky Philly soul, and the dance floor was just starting to fill up. As he walked through the smoke-wreathed room looking for his friends, Luke felt the usual interested gazes on him. He'd hung around with Ray and Jose and the rest of their gang long enough to understand this scene, and that being a skinny 23-year-old with long hair and still boyish features would draw attention from the mostly male crowd. It was kind of flattering, really. The OJs were calling on people to start a love train when Luke eventually located Jose in a booth at the back of the room. "Hey," Luke yelled over the music. "You working here?" "You made it," Jose cried in delight, coming out to peck Luke's cheek. "Honey, you're a sight for sore eyes." Luke looked around. "What about Ray? He working too?" "He's supposed to be helping me, but I think he spends most of his time hanging out in the DJ booth." "So, what is this? You doing lights for these guys?" "This and that," Jose said airily. He glanced across the room and gave a little nod. Luke followed his gaze to see Ray waving at them from a box house. I lost track of my sentence there. Luke followed his gaze to see Ray waving at them from a box housing the DJ and sound system. As James Brown took over from the OJs, Jose flagged down a passing waiter to order drinks and introduced Luke to a couple of other people standing nearby. Luke chatted amiably for a few minutes until Ray appeared, greeting him with a kiss and a quick conspiratorial glance at Jose. "What is it, man?" Luke asked, smiling curiously. "You two look like you got some kind of secret you don't mean to share." Ray smiled back and shook his head. The drinks arrived and Luke picked his up, then paused with the bottle halfway to his mouth. He turned towards the speakers with a slight frown, hearing a growing chord progression that sounded both intimately familiar and wildly out of place. "Hang on now. That sounds like... Wait, is that..." Jose and Ray were crowing openly now, delighted with their success. "But..." Luke stared at them. "My music don't fit in here. It's rock and roll, not disco. There's going to be some kind of riot. Everyone's going to walk off the dance floor." "No way," Ray shook his head. "Drag queens fit in every disco, my man." For a moment, Luke had forgotten that. This song was actually one of the quieter ones on his album. Not a ballad exactly, he didn't do ballads, not then, but a kind of jazz-inflected narrative poem about a performer he'd once met who'd been all glamour and stardust and charm. He'd held his breath and watched the crowd on the hazy dance floor as they slowed down, swayed a bit, and adjusted to the new beat. It wasn't a disco beat. It was a lot closer to rock than disco. But they didn't leave. They found a new groove for it, and in a minute, the whole crowd was undulating to the rhythm of his own music. The next morning, Luke walked out of the back room, found Jerry, and told him he wanted to start working on his next album. Oh, inspiration! Inspiration! All right. And at this next part, we're going to meet some band members finally. I'll bring myself up to 10 because I'm pretty sure I'm close to that, if not over. All right. Hopefully you all are enjoying this as much as I am. So, here we go. Before they contacted the record company to set up studio time, Luke called Eddie in Chicago to find out when he'd be back. Fortunately, the contract was wrapping up, and Eddie promised to be in town and available to help by late August. Jerry negotiated for two... I combined Jerry and negotiated into jury. Don't know how that works, but here we are. Jerry negotiated for 2 weeks at the studio in mid-September, and in the meantime, Luke set up rehearsal time with Pete, Leo, Gordon, and the equipment tech, Art. Once again, Luke had a stockpile of songs to choose from. At this time, he was always writing new material, sitting in his little room behind the store at night with his acoustic guitar, coming up with an outline or riff or fragment of lyrics. He'd take it to the guys to flesh out when they rehearsed next, then work out the bumps during their frequent local bar shows. Now he just had to decide which selections to commit to tape during the upcoming sessions. Last time, they had recorded 17 or 18 songs, of which only 10 made it to the album. That's actually pretty good. Working with the band on his latest embryonic creation, Luke remembered one of his frustrations during the last recording session. "It needs more," he said, stopping abruptly and pushing aside his guitar. "More than what we got." The others looked at him, nonplussed. "More what?" Leo asked. "I don't know, percussions, horns. I want, like, a deeper rhythm track, that Phil Spector sound." Luke ran his hands through his hair. "And I want a different sound for the solos. Gordon, your stuff it's excellent. I love your work. It just don't quite add up. I need something fuller." He was pacing around the small space now, the garage Gordon's mom let them rehearse in. Leo and Gordon watched him. Art leaned against the back wall and lit a cigarette. "It'll sound fuller when Eddie's here," Leo suggested. "That ain't exactly it. I don't just want more guitar." "Didn't you bring in some other guys when we made the last record?" Gordon asked. Luke shook his head. "Yeah, that's the thing. Me and Jerry kept finding these guys to add a bit of this and a bit of that, but they never really... I want to work with someone now when we're figuring out the songs." "So?" Pete slapped the restless hand against his bass. "What kind of player are you looking for exactly?" "I think I want horns the most. Something to fatten the rhythm and then break out once in a while. Anyone know anyone?" "Hey, I used to work with this guy." Leo brightened suddenly. "He played trumpet and maybe something else, I forget. He had a great sound, kinda bluesy, but he could play anything. R&B, jazz. Big guy, real nice. Worked hard. I think you'd like him. You'd like him, I think." I read the last part first. Luke stared at him. Why ain't you ever tell me this before? Where is he now? Do you know how to find him?" It took some hunting down and a bit of time, but eventually Leo confirmed that the trumpet player he remembered was currently in a band, backing up a singer Luke vaguely knew, a white guy named Mel who covered R&B songs, mostly for the college crowd. The band had a weekly gig at a bar out near University City, where Leo and Luke agreed to meet one Friday night. Luke arrived first and could hear the band playing already, so he went inside and found a table near the front. He nodded at Mel and took in the scene. The mostly young white crowd was either up front dancing or back at the bar drinking. The band was mixed and numerous, with a swinging rhythm section that included multiple sax, trombone, and trumpet players, as well as backup singers and other assorted musicians. Even with the number of people on stage, Luke had no trouble picking out the trumpet player Leo had mentioned. Though he was at the back with the rest of the horns, this man stood out. Leo had said he was large, and he was, a mountain of a man, both tall and muscular, with massive arms and shoulders that took up space when he raised his trumpet. His playing wasn't showy. He worked in harmony with the other horns and didn't try to upstage anyone. But Luke thought he would have noticed the man even if he hadn't been in the market for a trumpet player. Leo arrived shortly after Luke and joined him at the table. After a rousing first set, the band took a break, and Luke went over to say hello to Mel while Leo headed off to find his old bandmate. When Luke returned to the table, Leo was sitting with the trumpet player. "Hey, Luke, this is the guy I was telling you about, Emmett Evans. Emmett, this is Luke." Emmett put out his hand. "Pleasure, man. I've been hearing a lot about you lately. It's great to meet you." I wish they would have told me about you before," Luke said. His hand looked pale and tiny inside Emmett's large, dark one. "I'd have come by earlier." Leo said something about getting drinks and left them alone at the table. It occurred to Luke that Emmett was quite a bit older than him, perhaps closer to 30, which, along with his size, could have been a bit intimidating. "You guys sound great up there," Luke said, pushing aside the overflowing ashtray. "You been with Mel for a while?" "About a year now," Emmett said. He seemed friendly, guileless, like he was happy to chat without wondering too much about Luke's agenda. "The band's just starting to get tight, you know. It's hard with such a big sound, so many players." "You do mainly R&B covers?" "Well, that's Mel's thing. Myself, I do a little bit of everything, but in this band I just try to keep the rhythm going." "And you play trumpet, cornet?" Leo thought maybe something else as well. Emmett laughed easily. "Oh, I've tried a few things, but it's mostly trumpet and harp." "Really? Harmonica?" "Yeah, not in this band, you know. It doesn't really fit in. But I grew up playing blues and gospel mostly. A bit of jazz, so I just play whatever fits in best." Despite his imposing size and age, there was something in the way Emmett spoke that made Luke feel safe and comfortable around him. Leo returned with beers and passed them around. Hopefully those came free for the band, otherwise Leo would be wanting to get paid back. The three of them clinked bottles lightly, and Luke wondered how to ask Emmett if he'd consider leaving his currently productive employment and dedicating himself to a scrawny songwriter with lots of ideas and not much money. Fortunately, Emmett turned the conversation around politely. "I heard you got a record contract. Is that right?" "Yeah, we put out the first album last year. 2 more to go." Was this the moment to ask? "Congratulations, man. That's cool." Emmett's smile was sunny and sincere. "Have you been touring?" "We done a bit last year, but not lately. You write all your own songs?" Yeah, I write. We only do originals." "I can't write, but I really prefer original music." Emmett lifted his beer and finished half of it in a gulp. "You have any gigs in town? I'd love to see you guys play. Maybe I could even sit in sometime." Luke stared into Emmett's frank, open face and rolled the dice. "How about tomorrow?" "Well, and I'm going to give myself a couple more flubs there at the end, but that is the end of Chapter 1. I think a pretty good start, a fantastic start, actually, to a really good book. I haven't read much past the second chapter here because I'm going to pick it up myself so I can read through it because I believe in supporting fellow artists and authors. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one up as well on the link that you'll find right there in the chat if you're still with me and listening. You can pick that up on Amazon. That is the link there from M.E. Samm, a writer out of Canada. I think it's a fantastic start. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Y'all enjoyed it. I certainly did. And I'm going to take another drink of... That's right, some chicken cock here to celebrate our turkey month with a little bit of chicken cock bourbon. I've been thinking about maybe doing like a poll or something, I don't know, to vote on what I drink next and list out all the weird stuff that I have. Or I don't know, maybe that's a good use for like channel points or something. I haven't set any of those up. Maybe I'll do like I'll put something on there that I know I hate and list it for like a really high channel point amount or something. I don't know. I'm brainstorming, but if you have ideas, let me know. I'm all ears, as it were. But yeah, that's it. Let's step back over to the desk, as it were, because it's much cooler out there. Although right now it is very cold here. So the warm booth is actually kind of a welcome change, I guess. I don't know, I adapt to the cold better than the heat. So anyways, let's step back to the desk and let's resume our conversation over there. And then maybe we'll pass you off to somebody that's streaming. I bet you Nev's still streaming. We'll probably pass you over there, so stay tuned. Don't go away. You're going to go to a great stream right after. I promise. I promise. Once I stop with the verbal diarrhea, as it were, back to the desk. All right, I'm on my way. I promise. On my way. Oh, cold. It's not as easy as it once was. You know what I mean? But yeah, all right. We're done with the read. If I still have anybody, if I didn't kill everybody that was watching the channel from that read, thank you so much for sticking with me. I really enjoyed this book. And I think the author was going to stop by the stream, but I think they were going to stop by on YouTube, and it's not working. But I will get that fixed by next Wednesday, I promise. I'm also kind of looking for new things to add to the stream in terms of things that I could read. I've been thinking about maybe, as I almost inadvertently picked my nose, about doing a project that I have in the works. It's got a little bit of Twain and contemporaries put together into kind of a short story compilation, some of my favorite stories from him and his contemporaries. I think maybe one a piece, shooting for that 5 to 8 hour mark. So maybe I'll do that because those are all public domain stories that I'm putting together in a compilation and wanting to narrate it. I don't know. I was thinking about putting it up on Audible, but I don't know. I've got lots of ideas too. There's also another program that does, you can do, and I can't remember the name of it, and I feel bad for not remembering it. And I know it's going to come to me right when I hit stop or raid. It's probably how it'll work, but it's an organization that you can do audiobooks for people that are seeing impaired. And I think it's a fantastic way to give back. So if I'm going to do time outside of normal project like audiobooks, I might as well do that, right? And maybe the stream is one way to do it. Maybe we can actually record live and put those out as, something that we can provide. So we'll just get some stuff from public domain and read it and put it up there for folks to consume that can't read the text themselves. That might be cool. I don't know. I'll look into that further. There's a couple of different iterations of that project out there, but there's the one main big one, and it's like something library or library something, or I feel bad for forgetting. But anyways, I'll come armed with that information maybe next time that we stream. Next Wednesday, same time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be reading a short story from a good friend of mine who is a fantastic writer, and he has turned his craft to blacksmithing of all things, but I'm trying to encourage him to get back to writing. So maybe if you join me next time, you can help me in convincing him to get back into it, because he's fantastic at writing. And I can say that because I read one of his very first pieces when he first started writing, and I'll save this for the stream. This is a story for that stream, so I'll save that then. But it's going to be good. Please tune in for that one. Now, though,
I think we should probably pass this off to another very talented streamer. I bet you Neff's still on. Let me just make sure so I don't send you to an empty channel. Been there, done that. Take another drink, and we will see if they are still kicking it. Let me see here. Is this one muted? It is now. How do I? There we go. Oh, Neff is on. I think we'll be passing you off to Neff, who is fantastic. All right. And that's his intro song. I don't know. That's what it is now. So let's send you over to there. Thank you so much again for joining me. You will have a fantastic time with Neff, and we're going to go over there, starting the countdown timer here in 7 seconds. Thank you so much again for joining me. Joining me next Wednesday, don't forget, same time, same bat channel. We're going to be doing this same thing, and I can't wait for one to read this story. It's going to be good. Don't miss out. I will see you all then. Until then, have fun in Neff's channel. See you then.